Radha Krishna Gopada Sayam Kun Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavaram Ki Jai Chiradam Ki Jai Jagannath Swami Ki Jai Yamunamai Ki Jai Shrimati Lasi Devi Ki Jai Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Gaur Premananda Hari Hari. All glory is the assembled devotees. All glory is the assembled devotees. All glory is the assembled devotees. All glory is to Shri Guru and Gauranga Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Gaur Premananda Hari. Okay, we are reading from the Nectar of Devotion. So, Nana Shastra Vicharanai Kani Pano Sadharma Sam Stapako Lokanam Hitakarino Tribhuvane Manyo Shadanya Karo Radha Krishna Padaravinda Bhashana Nandena Mata Niko Bante Rupasanat Tanau Raguyagao Shri Jiva Gopalako. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the 6 Goswamis, namely Shri Sanatana Goswami, Shri Rupa Goswami, Shri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Shri Raghunath Das Goswami, Shri Jiva Goswami, and Shri Gopal Bhatta Goswami, who are very expert in scrutinizingly studying all the revealed scriptures with the aim of establishing eternal religious principles for the benefit of all human beings. Thus they are honored all over the 3 worlds, and they are worth taking shelter of because they are absorbed in the mood of the gopis and are engaged in the transcendental loving service of Radha and Krishna. So we're continuing with the techniques of hearing and remembering. Om Gana Timidanda Shah Gananjana Shlakaya Chakshur Meditam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. So we're going to talk about meditation. To meditate means to engage the mind in thinking of the form of the Lord, the qualities of the Lord, the activities of the Lord, and the service of the Lord. Meditation does not mean anything impersonal or void. According to Vedic literature, meditation is always on the form of Vishnu. So sometimes we run into people who are not in the Krishna conscious movement, who come to our temple and they say, "Do you meditate?" Did you ever hear that before? They say, "Do you meditate?" And I say, "Yeah, we're meditating on the name of Krishna, we're meditating on the form, qualities, etc." Then they said, "No, we mean meditate." To them, meditate means to make the mind void. So I tried that before I joined the Krishna conscious movement. And every time I made the mind void, I became very happy because I thought I was successful. Now what did I say wrong there?
You made your mind void.
I made the mind void, and I became very happy because I thought I was successful. What's that?
In accomplishing the voidness.
No. No.
Mind.
Now, what did I say wrong there?
Successful. Become successful by meditating on a void.
No.
Mind was still engaged.
No, because I was still thinking I'm successful.
Thinking.
I said, I have made the mind void. I have made the mind void. So that's a contradiction. You can't make the mind void. So just trying to, that was a tricky statement. Isn't it that I'm so happy my mind is void?
Then how are you happy?
Yeah, how are you happy if your mind is void? Oh, I made my mind void, I'm so happy. Anyway, there's no question of making the mind void. And the Prabhupada said you can either have sumeda or durmeda, means good brain or bad brain. And Prabhupada says the mind is never, or the brain is never vacant, it just may have a gober brain.
Go.
You understand?
Yes.
Understand that? It's not vegan, you should have cow stool in there, Which is all right, it's purifying. It's better to have cow stool than something else. So in the Nrsimha Purana, there's a statement about meditation on the form of the Lord. It is said there, meditation focusing on the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead has been accepted as transcendental and beyond the experience of material pain and pleasure. By such meditation, even one who is grossly miscreant can be delivered from the sinful reactions of his life. So here's another question. So how do we meditate on the form of the Lord? Yeah. The form. We're talking about the form. We're not talking about
from the lotus feet.
That's right. You start from the lotus feet. Now, interesting experience I have is when I look at the lotus feet, what do I think?
You want to serve more.
What?
You want to serve more.
That's right. You got it. And you look at the face, what do you think? I want to enjoy. Oh, Krishna is beautiful. Yes, it's nice.
Yeah.
But you look at the feet and you think, I have to serve. That's why we meditate on the feet first, because we learn that we're servants. Then we're qualified to look at the other parts of the transcendental body of the Lord. So try that sometimes. Just look at Krishna's feet and you just feel, wow, I have to serve. In the Vishnu Dharma, there's a statement about meditation on the transcendental qualities of the Lord. It is said, persons who are constantly engaged in Krishna consciousness and who remember the transcendental qualities of the Lord become free from all reactions to sinful activities. And after being so cleansed, they become fit to enter into the kingdom of God. In other words, no one can enter into the kingdom of God without being freed from all sinful reactions. One can avoid sinful reactions simply by remembering the Lord's form, qualities, pastimes, etc. Or by remembering the Lord's devotees. You can talk about Krishna Katha, the Lord's instructions, the Lord's devotees, the Lord's service, the Lord's aspects, form, quality, pastimes. In the Padma Purana, there's a statement about remembering the activities of the Lord. A person who is always engaged in meditation on the sweet pastimes and wonderful activities of the Lord surely becomes freed from all material contamination. In some of the Puranas, the evidence is given that if someone is simply meditating on devotional activities, he has achieved the desired result and is seen face to face the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In this connection, there's a story in the Brahma Vaivarta Purana that in the city of Pratishthanapura in South India, there was once a Brahmin who was not very well to do, but who was nevertheless satisfied in himself, thinking that it was because of his past misdeeds and by the desire of Krishna that he did not get sufficient money and opulence. So he was not at all sorry for his poor material position, and he used to live very peacefully. He was very open-hearted, and sometimes he went to hear some lectures delivered by great realized souls. At one such meeting, while he was faithfully hearing about Vaishnava activities, he was informed that these activities can be performed even by meditation. In other words, if a person is unable to actually perform Vaishnava activities physically, he can meditate upon the Vaishnava activities and thereby acquire all the same results. Because the Brahmana was not very well to do financially, he decided he would simply meditate on grand royal devotional activities and begin this business thus. So sometimes, in other words, if you can do something, do it. It's not that you can just lay in bed and meditate on your devotional activities. That's called ignorance, determination, ignorance. Never goes beyond procrastination. Procrastination means putting off for tomorrow or some time in the future what you can do today. Sometimes he would take his bath in the river Godavari. After taking his bath, he would sit in a secluded place on the bank of the river, and by practicing yoga exercises of pranayama, the usual breathing exercises, he would concentrate his mind. These breathing exercises are meant to mechanically fix the mind upon a particular subject. That is the result of breathing exercises and also of the different sitting postures of yoga. Formerly, even quite ordinary persons used to know how to fix the mind upon the remembrance of the Lord, and so the Brahmana was doing this. When he had fixed the form of the Lord in his mind, he began to imagine in his meditations that he's dressing the Lord very nicely in costly clothing, with ornaments, helmets, and other paraphernalia. Then he offered his respectful obeisances by bowing down before the Lord. After finishing the dressing, he began to imagine he was cleaning the temple very nicely. After cleansing the temple, he imagined that he had many water jugs made of gold and silver, and he took all those jugs to the river and filled them with the holy water. Not only did he collect water from the Godavari, but he collected from the Ganges, Yamuna, Narmada, and Kaveri. Generally, a Vaishnava, while worshipping the Lord, collects water from all these rivers by mantra chanting. This Brahmin, instead of chanting some mantra, imagined that he was physically securing water from all these rivers in golden and silver water pots. Then he collected all kinds of paraphernalia for worship: flowers, fruits, incense, and sandalwood pulp. He collected everything to place before the deity. All these waters, flowers, and scented articles were then nicely offered to the deities to their satisfaction. Then he offered arti, and with the regulative principles, he finished all these activities in the correct worshipping method. So, what's the problem? Here's the question. What's the problem with chanting all the mantras to bring the sacred rivers? What's the problem? I said, what's the problem? I didn't say what's the procedure.
Need to have certain qualifications? You're not qualified?
No, mantras.
Is it giving them unnecessary
No.
trouble?
Now, the problem is, many times the pujaris are chanting the mantras, but they're not thinking of what they're doing while they're doing it. And that's called what? Anybody know the Nectar instruction?
Mechanically, you are doing.
Niyamagra.
Niyamagra, which is a cause of deviation. So many times you find devotees who do all these different rituals, they're not thinking of the purpose of what it means while they're doing it. So here you see the Brahmin who didn't chant the mantras, but he was thinking of the purposes, and he got the result. So it's not that the mantra chanting must be accompanied by the person's proper mentality. It's not like some witchcraft, like sometimes you see these movies about some witch. Anyway, I'm not going to mention the name of the movie, and they chant some. They don't call them mantras. They call it a spell. They chant some spell, and something happens. Anyway, the mantra is not a spell. It has to be chanted with the right mentality. And even if you don't chant the mantra and you have the right mentality, it works. So you should teach that to the pujaris. He would daily execute similar performances as his routine work, and he continued to do so for many, many years. Then one day the Brahmin imagined in his meditations that he had prepared some sweet rice with milk and sugar and offered the preparation to the deity. However, he was not very satisfied with the offering because the sweet rice had been prepared recently and it was still very hot. This preparation of sweet rice should not be taken hot. The cooler the sweet rice, the better its taste. That's indication for you when you make sweet rice. That we used to make the sweet rice the day before a Sunday feast. And to do it properly, sweet rice, it takes like 2 hours to make sweet rice.
2 hours.
Yeah.
Just a minute.
Yeah, because if you just try to do it too quickly, the rice is not proper. So the rice actually has to be properly dissolved.
So we should not even offer hot sweet rice to...
No way. It has to be cold. So, and we would spend so much time stirring it, and we would put saffron in it sometimes and do all sorts of things. Of course, in the early days, we were all so addicted to sugar that for each, let's see, all right, I'm trying to translate gallons, liters. So for each 4 liters, we would put 3 or 4 cups of sugar. That was really sweet rice. Because normally the procedure is like 1 or 2 cups of sugar for each 4 liters, but we also love sugar, so everything had sugar in it.
Guruji,
Yeah.
I read somewhere in the Arati book that foodstuffs we prepare should be offered in 4 hours, something like that. Is it?
No, but sweet rice has to be cold.
Cold, okay.
So we would put it in the refrigerator and cool it.
Okay.
I mean, if you offer it right away, then it's hot sweet rice. But if it's really cold, that's what we make it really cold. And that's what Prabhupada said. I said the cooler the sweet rice, the better its taste. And if you just make it, we used to make like, let's say 4 times 10, like 40 liters of sweet rice at a time. Big thing. And so, it requires a lot of time to cool that down in the pot. It's not going to cool down in 3 hours. It'll be overnight. Actually, another thing that gets better with time is glubjamins. He's smiling. They're better actually the 2nd and 3rd day. Because I don't take any of that anymore. It's against my religion. So, because it's against the religion of staying healthy. So because the sweet rice had been prepared by the Brahmin very recently, he wanted to touch it so that he could know whether it was fit for eating by the Lord. As soon as he touched the sweet rice pot with his finger, he immediately, in other words, he didn't put the finger in the sweet rice, he touched the pot. Because when you're offering something to the Lord, you don't stick your finger in it. Especially the nail should never touch. He immediately was burnt by the heat of the pot. In this way his meditation broke. Now when he looked at his finger, he saw that it was burnt. And he was wondering in astonishment how this could have happened. Because he was simply meditating on touching the hot sweet rice, he never thought that his finger would actually become burnt. While he was thinking like this in Vaikuntha, Lord Narayan, seated with the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi, began to smile humorously. On seeing the smiling of the Lord, all the goddesses of fortune attending the Lord became very anxious and asked Lord Narayan why he was smiling. The Lord, however, did not reply to their inquisitiveness, but instead immediately sent for the Brahmana. An airplane sent from Vaikuntha immediately brought the Brahmana into Lord Narayan's presence. When the Brahmana was thus present before the Lord and the goddesses of fortune, the Lord explained the whole story. The Brahmana was then fortunate enough to get an eternal place in Vaikuntha in the association of the Lord and his Lakshmis. This shows how the Lord is all-pervading. In spite of his being locally situated in his abode, although the Lord was present in Vaikuntha, he was present also in the heart of the Brahmana when he was meditating on the worshipping process. Thus we can understand that things offered by the devotees, even in meditation, are accepted by the Lord, and they help one achieve the desired result. On the other hand, if you offer something to the Lord externally and you're not thinking of what you're doing, the Lord doesn't accept. It's not the rituals. It's not the rituals that are the important ingredient in offering to the Lord. It's the consciousness. It's not the mantras, it's the consciousness. Of course, the mantra of Hare Krishna is not different from Krishna, and the mantras are important, but it's not the mantras that make the offering successful. Like in the beginning, Prabhupada said you just put the plate on the altar and you just ask Krishna to accept. Or like we have that story I told the other day about Raghunandana, remember? I told the story, Raghunandana, the son of Mukunda. He didn't know any mantras, and so when Mukunda's father went away, the way he offered to the deities was basically crying. Take. Actually, not only crying, threatening. Not that you should do that. And so when his father came back, his father said, "Did you make the offering?" And he said, "Yes, but Krishna gave me a lot of trouble while I was trying to make the offering. So I had to just basically threaten him and cry." And the father said, "That's not the right procedure." And he said, "Well, that's what happens." And his father said, "Let's see you do it." And his father was watching in the window as Raghunandana was offering to the deity. And he did the same thing. He put a laddu in front of the deity and he said, "Eat, eat." And Krishna got down from the altar, and because he had just eaten, he just ate half the laddu. He said, "I'm full." So I'll eat half the laddu. And then later on, when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu met Mukunda, he asked Mukunda, "Who is the father, you or Raghunandana?" Even though externally he was the father, he said, "Raghunandana is my father." Because Raghunandana was more advanced. Not more advanced, I mean, they're all pure devotees. But Raghunandana had enabled the deity to take like that. So Mukunda was just amazed. So in other words, the important thing is the mood of the devotee. You understand?
Yeah.
Not, the external thing, yes, we should do that. I'm not saying that you just have the right mood and just do whatever you want externally. But the important thing is your consciousness, not the ritual.
I was asking a devotee that if we purify the odor of our ashman,
Yeah.
so either you touch with the finger or just touch the pot. So he said you need to touch the pot only. So it's the same as either touching the odor or touching the pot. You must have a consciousness to bringing the
Yeah.
all the mantras you're saying.
Yeah, you must know what the mantras mean. Otherwise, I mean, it's just like, what is that film of that, the witch guy? What's his name? Anyway.
Harry Potter.
Harry Potter. Otherwise, it's just like, you're just doing some spells like that. I mean, the mantras are powerful, yes, but without the right consciousness, then it's not accepted by Krishna. Krishna says, "Bhakti mam abhijanati." He doesn't say mantra mam abhijanati. He says, "Bhakti mam abhijanati." Only by devotion can I be known. So remember that point. So there must be devotion. You have to say, "Krishna, please accept it." Otherwise, when you do deity worship all the time, you just like keep doing it ritualistically, and then you just put your mind on automatic, or put the body on automatic. You might as well have a robot do the deity worship, isn't it? Yeah.
And like if you read the translation for the mantras, it's really
That helps.
beautiful. It's
Yeah, that
really
helps.
sweet.
I mean, even you could say the mantras in English. And if you don't know the mantras, you can just chant Hare Krishna, because the Hare Krishna mantra contains all the other mantras within it. So you just go Hare Krishna, and then the ritualistic pujaris will say, "What are you doing?" And then they get so many details in deity worship that you... Hare Krishna. There are so many details in deity worship that people forget the purpose of the deity worship. In the beginning, I mean, the way Prabhupada did the deity worship was very simple. Installation or whatever he did was simple, but it was pure. All right, so we're finished with that chapter. We're going to read 11. I'm sure it's an important phone call. She has. Somehow or other life went on before we had mobile phones. I don't know how. I don't know how I survived. It's unbelievable that there actually were people in the world without mobile phones before. Wish I had pictures from National Geographic of people without mobile phones. So, all right, aspects of transcendental service. So, we're going to talk about aspects of transcendental. So this is a short chapter. I think we can finish it today. Servitorship. In the opinion of the karmis, fruitive workers, offering the results of karma is called servitorship. But according to Vaishnavacharyas, like Rupa Goswami, servitorship means constant engagement in some kind of service to the Lord. In the Skanda Purana, it is said that those who are attached to ritualistic activities, the four orders of social life and the four orders of spiritual life, these people are considered devotees. But when devotees are actually engaged in offering service to the Lord directly, these must be Bhagavatas, or pure devotees. Those who are engaged in fruitive activities or prescribed duties according to the four orders of social and spiritual life are not actually pure devotees. But still, because they are offering the results to the Lord, they are accepted as devotees. In other words, sakama devotees, with some desire. When one has no such desire but acts spontaneously out of love of God, such a person must be accepted as a pure devotee. The conditioned souls who have come into contact with the material world are all more or less desirous of lording it over material nature. The system of varnashram and the prescribed duties under this system are so designed that the conditioned soul may enjoy in the material world according to his desire for sense gratification, and at the same time gradually become elevated to spiritual understanding. Under these prescribed duties of varna and ashram, there are many activities which belong to devotional service and Krishna consciousness. Those devotees who are householders accept Vedic ritualistic performances as well as the prescribed duties of the devotional service, because both are meant for satisfying Krishna. When household devotees perform some Vedic ritualistic duties, they do so to satisfy Krishna. As we have previously discussed, any activity aiming at satisfying the Supreme Personality of Godhead is considered devotional service. Of course, let me just clarify, any activity that's done under the Shastras. Because you could just say, I'm doing some nonsense to satisfy Krishna. You know, it's obvious. It's obvious. So it has to be, there's the verse, Shruti Smriti Puranadi, Pancharatriki Vidhim Vinay Kantiki Harira Bhakti Pata Yaiva Kalpate. That devotional service rendered not in accordance with the Shruti and the Smriti is a disturbance in society. Disturbance to society. Srila Rupa Goswami describes that one who is fit for becoming engaged in devotional service, describes one, yeah. He says the persons who are neophytes and who have developed the little love of Godhead are not interested in the activities of sense gratification in proportion to their devotion. But if there is still some attraction for sense-gratifying activities, then the result of such activities should be offered to Krishna. Like when you go bungee jumping, so I'm offering this to you, Krishna. Anyway, when you jump off the sky tower, you just go, Hare Krishna. This is helping me understand that the material world is dangerous, so devotional service. So, this is also called engagement in the service of the Lord, and the Lord is, with the Lord as the master and the worker as his servant. In the Naradiya Purana, there's a statement of how this servitorship is transcendental. It is said that a person who is constantly engaged in devotional service by his body, mind, and words, or even a person who is not practically engaged but is simply desiring to be so, is considered to be liberated. Wow. Then we have devotional service and friendship. Devotional service and friendship can be divided into two categories. The first is to act as a confidential servant to the Lord, and the other is to act as the well-wisher of the Lord. The devotee who has confidence in devotional service to the Lord systematically follows the rules and regulations with the faith that he will achieve the platform of transcendental life. The second type of devotional friendship is to become a well-wisher of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In Bhagavad Gita it is said that the Lord accepts a preacher as the most dear servant. Anyone who is preaching the confidential message of the Gita to the people in general is so dear to Krishna that no one can be equal to him in human society. Wow. In the Mahabharata, Draupadi says, My dear Govinda, your promise is clear that your devotee can never be vanquished. I believe in that statement, and therefore in all kinds of tribulations, I simply remember your promise, and thus I live. The purport is that Draupadi and her 5 husbands, the Pandavas, were put into severe tribulations by their cousin brother Duryodhana, as well as by others. The tribulations were so severe that even Bhishma Deva, who was both a lifelong brahmachari and a great warrior, would sometimes shed tears thinking of them. He was always surprised that although the Pandavas were so righteous and Draupadi was practically the goddess of fortune, and although Krishna was their friend, still they had to undergo such severe tribulations. Though their tribulations were not ordinary, Draupadi was not discouraged. She knew that because Krishna was their friend, ultimately they would be saved. A similar statement is there in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 7th chapter, Verse 53, where Havi, the son of King Rishabha, addresses Maharaj Nimi. My dear king, a person who never deviates even for a moment from engagement and service at the lotus feet of the Supreme Person, engagement which is sought even by great demigods like Indra, with firm conviction that there is nothing more worshipful or desirable than this, is called the first-class devotee. Srila Rupa Goswami says that a neophyte devotee who has simply developed a slight love of Godhead is certainly a prospective candidate for devotional service. When he becomes firmly fixed in such devotional service, that assured status becomes a confidential part of his devotional service. Sometimes it is found that a pure devotee lies down in the temple of the Lord in order to serve him as a confidential friend. Such friendly behavior of a devotee may be accepted as raganuga, or spontaneous. Although, according to regulated principles, no one can lie down in the temple of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, this spontaneous love of Godhead may be grouped under devotional service and friendship. So what's an instance of someone lying down and serving the Lord? What?
Like Dandavat Pranam.
No, serving the Lord. Lying down. Not just Dandavat.
Ananta Shesh?
No, a devotee, not someone like us. Guarding the temple of the Lord.
Guiding.
Guarding. Security. I used to sleep in the temple room at night to guard the deities. And I had amazing dreams. You try that sometimes. I don't know, do they have anyone sleeping in the temple room?
I know.
You do?
In Lambasa.
Lambasa.
The thieves come inside to sleep in the temple.
In the temple room. And right in front of the deities, Radha Vrindavan Chandra, right? Did you have any special dreams?
Yes.
I used to dream of Krishna much more than now, when I was lying down, you're just like...
When I fall asleep sometimes and somebody comes and calls me, Tilakini, like wake up.
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody calls.
It's a deity waking you up.
Yeah.
It's a very special thing. I mean, it's not that everybody should rush to the temple to go to sleep, but anyone who served the deities like that, they experience a special nectar. Because you're so close to the Lord. I mean, you're just like right near the curtains or gates or whatever you have there. And it's just like, you can't but think of the Lord while you're doing that. Special nectar. So that's one instance. Lying down to serve the Lord. Surrendering everything to the Lord. Regarding complete self-surrender, there's a nice description of the 11th canto, Srimad Bhagavatam, 29th chapter, verse 34, where the Lord says, a person who has completely surrendered unto me and has completely given up all other activities is protected by me personally, both in this life and the next. In other words, I wish to help him become more and more advanced in spiritual life. Such a person is to be understood as having already achieved sarshti. That means having equal opulences with the Supreme. It is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita that as soon as a person surrenders unto the lotus feet of Krishna, Krishna takes charge of him and gives him a guarantee of protection from all sinful reactions. He also instructs from within, so the devotee may very quickly make advancement toward spiritual perfection. So here it appears that you say someone completely surrendered may not be a pure devotee. If you actually hear what Prabhupada just said, he advances towards spiritual perfection. So how do you do that? You follow Lord Chaitanya's 6 surrendering practices and principles. Accepting everything favorable for serving the Lord. Rejecting everything unfavorable. So even if you're not a pure devotee, you can do that. And then understanding the Lord is always protecting one. That's number 3. Understand the Lord is always maintaining one. Always the most difficult one is being meek and humble. And the last one is to have no separate interest other than the interest of the Lord. So this it's a process of surrendering everything to the Lord, and you don't have to be a pure devotee to do it. Wow. This self-surrender is called Atmanivedanam. Of course, that's the 9th of the processes of Nava Bhakti. According to different authorities, self is differently defined. Self is sometimes considered to refer to spirit, soul, self, or soul, and self is sometimes considered to refer to the mind or to the body. Full self-surrender, therefore, means not only surrendering oneself as spirit, soul, but also surrendering one's mind and body to the service of the Lord. It's interesting. One time a devotee came to Prabhupada, a very old man, and he said, I'm surrendering to you, Prabhupada, and I left my money to my family so they're taken care of. And so I'm able to surrender. And so Prabhupada said, that's not very good. Your family gets your money, we just get an old man. Something like that's paraphrasing. Surrender. Surrender means you surrender your money too, not just... Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has sung a very nice song in this connection. While offering himself as a fully surrendered soul, he said, my mind, my household affairs, that's manasa deha deha. My body, whatever is in my possessions, my dear Lord, I offer to you for your service. Now you can do with them as you like. You are the supreme possessor of everything. So if you like, you can kill me, or if you like, you can give me protection. All authority belongs to you. I have nothing to claim as my own. Sri Yamunacharya, in his prayers to the Lord, has expressed a similar idea in the following words. My dear Lord, I may be living within some body as a human being or as a demigod, but whatever mode of life I do not mind, because these bodies are simply byproducts of the three modes of material nature, and I who am in possession of these bodies am surrendering myself unto you. In the Hari Bhakti Viveka, there is a statement regarding how one can offer his body in self-surrender. There a devotee says, my dear Lord, as a souled animal has no need to think about his maintenance and such sustenance, so because I have given up my body and soul unto you, I am no longer concerned with my maintenance and sustenance. In other words, one should not bother about his personal or family maintenance or sustenance. Okay, you rastas. No, but actually you're taking care of your family for Krishna. So therefore you should be bothered by it. But if you have to serve non-devotees, there's no need to serve non-devotees. If one is actually surrendered in body and soul, he should always remember that his only concern is to be engaged in the service of the Lord. Srila Rupa Goswami says that devotional service in friendship and devotional service in self-surrender are two different processes. Therefore, such relationships with the Lord can very rarely be seen. Only for the advanced devotees are these two processes easily executed. The purpose is that it is very rare to see surrender which is mixed with sincere ecstatic devotion. One must give himself completely to the will of the Lord. Offering a favorite article. In the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam's 11th chapter, verse 41, Lord Krishna tells Uddhava, my dear friend, if someone offers me the best thing in his possession or anything which is very pleasing to him, he will be eternally benefited. As I mentioned before, in New Jagannath Puri, which is San Francisco, when they installed Lord Jagannath, Prabhupada said everyone should offer the best thing, and some people offer their blue jeans. Because everybody has an idea what the best thing... I mean, in the beginning days, people just didn't know anything. It's described that when Shama Sundara was carving the deities of Lord Jagannath, he was smoking cigarettes at the same time. And he actually, I think he had a pack rested on the deity. And Prabhupada, being very merciful, said, just try to smoke one less each day. It shows how merciful Prabhupada was. I would freak out and start yelling at him, or something like that. Performing all endeavors for Krishna. In the Narada Pancharatra, there is a statement how one can act in all spheres of life for the satisfaction of the Lord. It is stated there that a person who is actually in devotional service must be engaged in all kinds of activities, those prescribed in the real scriptures, and also those which are accepted for livelihood. In other words, not only should a devotee engage himself in the prescribed duties of devotional service, which are mentioned in the real scriptures, but he should also perform the duties of his practical life in Krishna consciousness. Very important. For example, a devotee who has a great establishment or factory I offer the fruits of such material possession for the service of the Lord. It's like Nimananda. Being a surrendered soul. In the Hari Bhakti Vilas, there's the following statement about self-surrender. My dear Lord, a person who has surrendered himself unto you, who is in firm conviction that he is yours, and who actually acts in that way by his body, mind, and words, can actually relish transcendental bliss. In the Nrsinga Purana, that's how I explained initiation yesterday. I said, initiation means that from now on everything belongs to Krishna. In the Nrsinga Purana, Nrsingadev says, anyone who prays unto me and takes shelter of me becomes my ward. In other words, I take care of him. And I protect him always from all sorts of calamities. And then the last one is serving trees such as Tulasi tree. In the Skanda Purana, there's a statement praising the Tulasi tree as follows. Let me offer my respectful obeisance unto the Tulsi tree, which can immediately vanquish volumes of sinful activities. Simply by seeing or touching this tree, one can become relieved from all distresses and diseases. Simply by offering obeisances to and pouring water on the Tulsi tree, one can become freed from the fear of being sent to the court of Yamaraj, the king of death, who punishes the sinful. If someone sows a Tulsi tree somewhere, certainly he will become devoted to Lord Krishna. And when the Tulsi leaves are offered in devotion at the lotus feet of Krishna, there's full development of love of Godhead. I mean, there's so many stories and injunctions that you can offer Krishna so many things. If it doesn't have a Tulsi leaf, he's not going to accept it. And there's that whole story of the Govardhan Leela, when they were worshiping Govardhan, they're offering all the foodstuffs, and Krishna ate everything, and he still wasn't satisfied. He said, Anyor, Anyor, give me more, give me more. And they didn't know what to do. Finally, they gave him a Tulsi leaf, and Krishna said, I'm satisfied. There's also stories about, balancing Krishna, you understand, with gold, and then finally a Tulsi leaf is actually balances Krishna.
With Hanuman as well.
What?
There was a similar story with Hanumanji.
Hanumanji. I don't know that story. Anyway, in India, all Hindus, even those not belonging to the Vaishnava group, take special care of the Tulsi tree. Even in great cities where it is very difficult to keep a Tulsi tree, people are to be found very carefully keeping this plant. They water it and offer obeisances to it because worship of the Tulsi tree is very important in devotional service. In the Skanda Purana, there's another statement about Tulasi as follows. Tulasi is auspicious in all respects, simply by seeing, simply by touching, simply by remembering, simply by praying to, simply by bowing before her, simply by hearing about her, simply by sowing this tree. There's always auspiciousness. Anyone who comes in touch with the Tulasi tree in the above-mentioned ways lives eternally in the Vaikuntha world. Wow. You don't have to do anything else now. We worship Tulsi this morning. You heard about Tulsi. So, we'll end for right now until we come back. So any questions or comments about any of the points we raised, or raised by Prabhupada and Srila Rupa Goswami? Points? Yeah.
What would be the qualities of a pure devotee?
Okay. Qualities of a pure devotee. There's actually statements like that in the Nectar of Devotion. Does anyone remember the whole list?
There's 26 of them.
Do you remember them all?
Not all 26.
Let's see.
You should look up.
Yeah. Let's see what's up.
More than 26.
What's that? Would that be under few for qualities? Or would it be under devotees? It would be under probably devotee quality itself. Devotees.
You can go there.
What?
I found it online. You got it here?
Oh, online.
Okay.
That's actually better to do things online than reading. Let's see if I can find it here.
Which sloka is easy? This is Chaitanya Charitamrita.
It should be the same year.
Is this the same verse in Bhagavad Gita? Humility, from humility till the...
Alright, yeah, why don't you give me the phone, I'll just read it.
This is actually extract from Chaitanya Charitamrita from Madhya Leela.
Qualities of the pure devotee. He is very kind to everyone, unless he's chastising a rascal who's offensive. He does not make anyone his enemy, although other people may think he's the enemy. He is truthful. He's equal to everyone. No one can find any fault in him, although they may try. He is magnanimous. He is mild, always clean. He is without possessions. He works for everyone's benefit. He's very peaceful. He's always surrendered to Krishna. He has no material desires. He's very meek, but sometimes he may get very angry for the Krishna service. I mean, sometimes, see, these are, there's actually qualities called Mukhya and Gona. Has anyone heard those words before? No. That means primary qualities and secondary qualities. These are secondary qualities. He controls his senses. He does not eat more than required. He is not influenced by the Lord's illusory energy. He offers respects to everyone. He does not desire any respect for himself. He is very grave, but sometimes may be humorous. He is merciful. He is friendly. He is poetic. He is expert. He is silent. That means he only speaks things related to Krishna. So, an interesting thing is that sometimes you'll find something contradictory to these qualities in the manifestation of a pure devotee. Like, for example, Krishna may tell a pure devotee to lie, like he told Yudhisthira to lie, and Yudhisthira didn't lie. And he did lie, but thinking he didn't lie. So, these are secondary qualities. The primary quality is exclusive devotion to Krishna. And the secondary quality is sometimes manifest. It's called Mukhya and Gona. Mukhya means like the primary quality of something. And the secondary qualities are sometimes manifest, sometimes not manifest. Like, I mean, for example, it says he has no enemies, for example. Prabhupada was basically, I mean, I hate to say this, he was thinking about Mr. Nair. You know, as soon as Mr. Nair died, Prabhupada said, I was praying for something like that to happen, so. But he's not an enemy in the sense, I mean, you really have to unpack it, in the sense that he hates Mr. Nair, but he's thinking of Mr. Nair as an obstacle for the performance of the devotional service of having a temple in Mumbai. So, anyway, so these qualities they're secondary qualities. The primary quality is exclusive devotion to Krishna, always thinking of pleasing Krishna. And sometimes he may be mild, and sometimes he may not be mild. I mean, any of you who experienced Tamal Krishna Maharaj know that he wasn't always mild, right? They were scared of him. The devotees were scared. Shaking whenever he came in, right?
Yes.
So what I'm saying is the secondary qualities sometimes are manifest, sometimes they're not manifest. So really the quality is exclusive devotion to Krishna, doing everything to please Krishna, and accepting everything favorable. The 6 symptoms of surrender. Those are primary qualities. Because if you take that list, you get a little confused. Mild.
Kapilmuni says that Tikshiva Karunika.
Yeah, Tatikshava Kurunika Sura Sarvadena Majata Shatrava Shanta Shadava Sadabhushana. Tatikshava, these are qualities are always there. Tatikshava means tolerant, Kurunika, merciful, Sura Sarvadena, I'm a friend to all living entities. Ajata Shatrava doesn't consider anyone to be his enemy, although others may consider him to be their enemy. Shanta, peaceful, Sadhava Sadhabhushana, these are the ornaments of a Vaishnava. But really, those are also secondary qualities. The primary quality, the secondary qualities come from the primary quality. You understand? Primary quality is exclusive devotion to Krishna, always trying to please Krishna, love of Krishna. He's a primary quality. Secondary qualities manifest as a result. And sometimes some of the secondary qualities don't manifest, or even what apparently may be the opposite in the life of a pure devotee. So it's important to understand the distinction. Okay. Any other questions? Yes.
Is there any difference between the spiritual benefit of a pure devotee's meditation and a neophyte devotee's meditation of the Lord?
Benefits. And
Different
that, I'm just trying to think of the word benefit right now.
spiritual benefit.
I mean, there's different results. The word benefit is kind of difficult to understand. I know what benefit means, but it's, the different types of benefits. Obviously the pure devotee, when he meditates on the Lord, he's directly there. And those who are not quite pure devotees, they're making advancement. So it's a different type of benefit. I wouldn't say it's a different amount of benefit, it's a different type of benefit. Hopefully that answers the question. It's a different type of benefit on the meditation. But as far as difference in Krishna being present, no. If someone is a devotee meditating on Krishna, Krishna is present. Krishna is equally present in both cases. But the neophyte may not be so absorbed, or may not be able to be so much in touch with Krishna. I mean, Krishna is equally present in the heart of a pure devotee and the heart of a rascal. So it depends on one's level of advancement, how much one is appreciative of that, or
Desires? Maybe what is desiring for?
desiring. What?
I mean,
Desiring.
what is his desire for meditation? People
No,
are-
I mean, so even if someone is a pure devotee and has an impure desire, Krishna is just as much present there. It's just that he may not be able to appreciate Krishna's presence. I think it also depends on the intensity of one's meditation. Like we hear this nectar instruction, Utsahan Nischaya Daryat, Tatat Karma Pravartana, Sangos Chagat Sato Vritir, Sadvirakta Prasiddhiti, Utsahan. So the first principle mentioned is Utsahan, which is sort of intensity, enthusiasm. That's intensity. That can be translated as intensity. Not passionate enthusiasm. Sometimes you see someone enthusiastic to go to a football game of the All Blacks. Not football, sorry. Sorry. The All Whites. Anyway, soccer is all whites, right? Sorry, I apologize. So, sometimes you find someone enthusiastic for some sporting activity, and that's passion. But this enthusiasm would be like intensity of one's, of one's meditation. Like again, you have that word oleum, which means basically greed.
Alasamai as well.
Yeah, which is similar. So the intensity of one's greed would determine what the benefit is. How's that? And the pure devotee has the greatest greed to please Krishna. And the neophyte has a little greed. Unless he's very greedy about something material, and he's praying to Krishna for something material, like Dhruva Maharaj, his volume was intense. Isn't it? So that's why Krishna says, it says in the Bhagavatam, Akama Savrakama Moksha Kama Dharati Tivrena Bhakti Yogena Yasheta Purusham Param. Whether one is full of material desires of liberation, or having no desires, being Krishna conscious, then one should forcefully worship Krishna. In other words, you've got to find a way to somehow or other think of Krishna 24 hours a day. Even if that means you're asking Krishna for something. But at least you're thinking of Krishna. But not in a negative way like Kamsa, but in a positive way. You have to find a way that really connects you with Krishna. Like we're talking about chanting with the Sankalpa. if you have to find something that really is connected to your heart. Krishna, please. Oh, okay. Have a nice day at work. We'll see you tomorrow, or see you later. Tonight. Good. You have to say, Krishna, please help me. Help me hear my japa. Krishna, please help this rascal disciple. Krishna's very kind. He gives me a lot of good sankalpas. There's so many rascals. That's why I have a whole computerized list, database. Of the rascals, I just pick one. I just close my eyes and pick one that I can pray for that day. So anyway, joking aside, the intensity can be there, and even in the conditioned soul or the aspiring devotee, if he has some proper sankalpa, like Dhruva Maharaj. He was so intense. He described his austerities, that first of all he was just eating like once a month, and then he gave up eating, then he was drinking water like once a month or once, whatever it was, I forget the exact details, and then stopped his breathing. That's pretty intense. And you really got to be determined, isn't it? Utsahan, and then nischayat, determination. Daryat, patience. Actually, it's very interesting, those three. Because without all three, you actually don't have devotional service. If you're just utsahan, that means you're just passionate. If you're not patient, then you're just passionate. And if you're just patient and not enthusiastic, you're a lazy bum. I remember that one time there was a devotee, we were in charge of a Sankirtan party, and the devotee would only distribute books when he felt enthusiasm. So we'd take him out to the airport, and he said, I'm just waiting for enthusiasm to hit me. So many days, this was in Miami, we would find him sleeping in the park right across from the airport. We see his feet sticking out from the bushes. And then finally at about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, he'd wake up and get enthusiastic. And then he'd distribute books. So anyway, utsahan nischayadhara, enthusiasm and patience and determination are all necessary ingredients. And of course, tatat kamra pravartana, following the rules and regulations. And then sangos jagat, sangos jagat, giving up bad association. Sato vrite, associating with devotees or following in the footsteps of the devotees. And these are the necessary qualities of advancing devotional service. Okay. All right. Any other questions?
So the meditation is not really samadhi.
No, meditation is not necessarily samadhi. Work now, samadhi later, Prabhupada said. Samadhi. Yeah.
Is it okay to put tulsi on hot preparations and then offer?
Yeah. Yeah, if Krishna wants the hot preparation. But if it's too hot, we don't want Krishna to burn his tongue. You have to think like that. You have to think like, Krishna obviously has a transcendental tongue. But you have to treat Krishna like a young boy, Prabhupada said, when you're making the offering. So don't make it too hot. Just like sometimes they bathe my feet and they just want to warm me up, but it burns the feet. Every day we have to test. Every time we go to someone's house, test. And sometimes it's too hot. Sometimes they put ice cubes in it. 'Cause they want to cool me down. One time they actually had it in the refrigerator before. And it was just... So you have to... Yeah, you can put tulsi on a hot preparation, yeah.
It's just that my mother-in-law asked me to ask you this because in Lambasa they say not to put it on the hot preparation, just to put it on the side of the...
Why?
I don't
The
know.
tulsi can get brown if you put it on very hot.
Well, how hot is it? If it's too hot,
big one.
then you don't offer it. You put it on the preparations, warm preparation,
Oh.
something that someone could eat.
Not too hot.
I'm not talking about boiling.
Can't put in a
But you shouldn't offer Krishna boiling things either. Then you want to burn his tongue. It's not proper. Yeah,
Like we doing the offering in the temple.
yeah,
I cook lunch now only.
that's nice.
We prepare the plate. Then the pujari, it's sharp to our cook. We ask the pujari to open.
Yeah, it has to be offered sharp.
Yeah. Sometimes the pujari said, Krishna understand me. Like, it get late. Like 5 minutes, 10 minutes.
And the
late.
Pujari says that Krishna understands me.
Yeah, the pujari said, Krishna understands me. Like.
Yeah, he understands that the Pujari is not on time.
Yeah. We do like that kind of situation. No, I mean, like I can say.
What you do, you insist. Then you have to have call the head Pujari, and you tell him what's going on.
No, I mean, I am talking about Ashraya Mataji. We prepare everything and I tell her, no, it's time, Krishna will run away.
Oh, Ashraya says that. You're talking
Yeah.
about Ashraya.
Yeah. So
She's older, you have to respect her.
Yeah, that's what I sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, that's different.
I
That's
just-
different. I thought you were talking about some young brahmachari.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Yeah, she's older. Krishna gives her special dispensation.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
Anyone over 65 gets special mercy.
Gurudev,
Yeah, you get special mercy. I get special mercy. Nobody else here over 65. Oh, you're over 65.
65. Still 65.
She's 65. Well, you don't look more than 40.
Jai Ho, Bali.
So, no, I mean, in that case, yeah, I would say, yes, Krishna understands.
Yeah, that's what she said. Then I get upset and then I said, I really make effort to make nice offering. It's not going in time and I get upset also.
Yeah, but it's all right with her.
Yeah.
So you have to have enough discrimination to understand the circumstance. But if it's some young brahmachari, whack.
Gurudev,
What about like,
Yeah,
we are bathing, when I was in Krishna Kalya temple, Gauri Mata said that before sunrise you have to bathe the deities.
yeah.
So it's like sometimes in our temple, pujaris come late to bathe the deities.
Yeah, it's all right. I don't think you have to do it before sunrise. I mean, what will they do in, let's say if you go real far north in Finland. You ever heard of Finland before? Sun rises at 12:30 at midnight, after midnight, during the summer. So they really can't wake the deities up. You have to be concerned, Krishna. One time, they were not there, but they were waking the deities up too early, and Prabhupada said, Krishna's a young boy, he needs more sleep. So you have to really consider like that. I don't think there's a rule you have to bathe them before sunrise. I never read that rule. You bathe the deities when practical. I mean, with my deities, I'm bathing them, it's way after sunrise now.
I don't know, Gauri Mata, she tells us.
Yeah, she's wrong. You're wrong. I mean, she may have wanted that established, but it's not a rule in deity worship that you bathe before sunrise. You wake up before sunrise. An hour and a half. So another question? Yeah,
Gurudev,
yeah, quick. Yeah.
This also applies to offering too, because sometimes when we do shift work, we are a bit late in doing offering.
That's all right. You do whenever you can.
No. In my home, it is strictly on time. I will fail with the Guru Maharaj.
Yeah, but what if she's doing shift work? What if the poor lady just got back from working like at 4 o'clock in the morning?
Then I do it.
Oh, that's all right. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine.
Gurudev, in like some pujaris, for Srila Prabhupada's plate in the temple, they put tulsi separately Srila Prabhupada will offer food to Krishna and then eat. And some pujaris, they put it on the preparation.
What are you talking about? When they offered to Prabhupada?
But
Srila Prabhupada's plate, like apart from Jagannath Baladev,
Oh.
so different plates.
Prabhupada's plate, you don't put Tulsi on it.
Not on
So you have a separate plate for Prabhupada on the altar?
Yes.
Really?
With
Pretty
four
high
plates.
standard.
Yeah.
That's pretty, I've never heard of that before.
So
We put tulsi on Prabhupada.
That's never been, I've never heard of that done in any temple. There's a separate plate
Yeah, we put tulsi.
for Prabhupada on the altar. I mean something, anyway, you can do it, I'm not saying. But why, if there's a separate plate for Prabhupada, I wouldn't put Tulsi on it.
not put Tulsi.
Is it Prabhupada or is it all the Guru Parampara and two Prabhupada?
To in Prabhupada's plate,
It's not only
some
Prabhupada. I would
pujaris,
say.
they
It's a special plate for Prabhupada.
Yeah, it's
So we put tulsi, then Prabhupada offer to Krishna, then we
No, but there's other plates for the other deities, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we got 4 plates.
That's really
Other
confusing.
Gujari,
I've never heard of it.
Golden time. And then one is, I think, Guru Parampara, two Prabhupada. Then.
Still can do that.
I've never heard of that before. I mean, that's weird. The Prabhupada on the altar has a separate plate. Do you have a deity of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur on the altar? Prabhupada also said, well, if you have a deity of him on the altar, there has to be a deity of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. But I've never heard of that separately. We don't do that in Suva. We don't do that
Since
in.
I came from Fiji, so these people were.
Yeah, we never do it anywhere else in the world. It's never done anywhere else in the world.
Oh.
There's a separate plate for Prabhupada on the altar.
Yeah,
Yes.
No, on Prabhupada's appearance day, they will have a plate by the Vyasa-san for Prabhupada. But I've never seen it anywhere else. That's strange.
In Karasi, we also we don't offer Prabhupada grains. We
That's right.
But tulsi is there.
tulsi.
But Tulsi is always kept separately from the preparation, so that Srila Prabhupada's offer and then.
This is all very new to me. I've never heard of offering a separate plate to Prabhupada because when you have Gaurnitai on the altar,
Yeah.
that's Guru Gauranga altar. You have one plate. That's a standard Prabhupada established. You know, this standard I've never heard of my whole life.
Interesting.
I would consult with Nisrin Kabacha about this.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, I've never heard of this before. There's a Guru Gauranga altar, which you have one plate, and then there's Radha Krishna another plate, and then Jagannath Baladev Subhadra another plate. Yeah, I mean, I have plenty of temples I'm in charge of where we have, you know, actually in Suva we have Prabhupada and Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur on the altar. There's never a separate plate for the Guru Parampara. I've never heard about that. You've never seen that in any temple. I've never seen it in any temple in the world. You know, in India, I've never seen it anywhere. Because then most of the temples, because Prabhupada said you have to have a deity of his spiritual master too. So then you'd need another plate for Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And then in Mayapur, the new temple, they're going to have the whole parampara there, so you need a separate plate for every member of the parampara, which would make it impractical. But that's different. Mayapur, they're going to have the whole parampara on one altar.
But isn't it that they're going to accept the prasadam rather than the bhoga?
Who?
Like if you buy the Prabhupada.
in my
Just-
We offer to Guru Gauranga, and Prabhupada gives it up to the disciplic succession, all the way to Krishna, and then they accept it and it comes back down. But that's Guru Gauranga. That means Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Lord Nityananda, and Prabhupada.
so if doing a Prabhupada offering, so we do bhoga or prasad. I mean, in the sense.
When do you do Prabhupada?
Offer-
This is weird for me. I've never heard of this
like
stuff.
just taking example of what we are doing in Auckland, we do not. I mean,
What do you do in your temple?
There's three.
Three. Yeah, three. Yeah, so when we offer, we're offering through Prabhupada, we're through our spiritual master and Prabhupada to the disciplic succession, and they offer it to the deities. And then Prabhupada and the disciplic succession are taking prasadam.
We do that.
Yeah. But if you're already offering to Guru Gauranga, then it's just that seems like it's duplication. It's duplication. I've never heard of such a thing in my life. In all the temples I've been at, Silver serving, we don't do that. In Mumbai, we don't do that.
But in Krishna Kaya temple, we are going to test plate. There is no plate for Prabhupada.
Yeah, there's not supposed to be. We don't do it in Krishna Kaliya temple. It's just weird. I mean, it's just something that's never been done. Anyway, whatever. I'm not going to get into your local stuff. Okay, we have to end now because we got a lot of places to visit. Just ask Nrsinga Kabacha. But it appears to me something that's not done anywhere else in ISKCON. But if you establish a standard, I don't know if you can change it.